Raw was in London tonight, the final stop on the European tour that has been going on now for 3 straight weeks, and they saved their best for last. Easily the best of all the shows on this European tour, and they did it with only 4 matches. This was a show here tonight that was carried by John Cena and Cody Rhodes, who opened the show, and it was carried by the post-match angle after Gunther and Jimmy Uso, involving Gunther and the Usos. Those 2 segments are really what carried the day here for Monday Night Raw. And we're going to start with Cena and Cody. And before I get into all the specifics and all the ins and outs, a lot of us have been talking about the same thing now for weeks. John Cena turns heel at the Elimination Chamber in Toronto. John Cena doesn't appear on television again for 2 weeks. And we see him pop up on St. Patrick's Day. And he heals on the fans, doesn't interact at all with Cody, and leaves. And then the following week in Scotland, it was more of the same, where John Cena comes out and he vents his frustrations with all of the fans, with you and me, and Cody Rhodes comes out and he has something to say, but John Cena does not engage with Cody, and he leaves. And I look at the calendar and I realize that John Cena is only announced for 1 more appearance on the road to WrestleMania. Now, that could always change, but as of this moment, tonight was the last show, the last time that we are going to see John Cena, at least live in front of an arena full of people, before we get to Las Vegas for WrestleMania. And so it was imperative that on this show tonight, they do something different than what they have given us for the last 2 weeks. The most important thing coming into the show is that we have some sort of actual interaction. It doesn't even have to be physical, but something between Cody and John Cena. I don't want to hear that John Cena resents the fans. I don't want to hear that John Cena, he's sick and tired of 25 years of the same thing, and he's doing this to get revenge on you and me. His opponent at WrestleMania is Cody Rhodes, and we needed that interaction. It's one of the things I was looking forward to the most when John Cena first turned heel in Toronto. Oh man, what are the promos going to be like, right? If he's going to go at Cody, he's going to ether this guy. And what's Cody's response going to be to John Cena? It's been a month, and we haven't gotten any of that. And it's entirely possible that this is the last time that we're going to have the chance to possibly see something like that. So that was what I was hoping for coming into this show tonight. And there's going to be people talking about who won the battle. Who won the battle? John Cena won. Cody Rhodes won. No. The fans won. The fans won because we had these 2 guys go out there here on this show and give us a segment that I think did as good of a job as you could have asked for as far as heating up the issue between Cody Rhodes and John Cena at a time when the issue really wasn't all that hot. They did what they had to do tonight to sufficiently reheat it. It's like taking food that really tasted good when you had it fresh, and it's been sitting in the fridge for a few weeks, and you got to pop it in the microwave to reheat it, right? Okay, well, that's basically what WWE tried to do here on this episode of Raw. But for all that talk, again, it was, I think, the fans and the viewers who really won when this segment was over. Cody held his own, and that was another question. If John Cena really wanted to unload on this guy, and he came, both barrels loaded, would Cody Rhodes be able to go toe for toe with this guy in a promo? Because we know what John Cena is capable of. We've seen him go into the ring before and just smother people. And the last time he did that to somebody was poor Austin Theory a couple of years ago, and it didn't go too well for Theory. Even though he won at WrestleMania, he really lost because Austin Theory has not been the same since. I thought Cody more than held his own in the ring tonight. And whether or not you want to say that's John Cena holding back or whatever, I mean, I think to say that would be to not give Cody credit for being able to go out there and do what he did. There was a point in that promo where the fans actually started cheering Cena after something that he said. I think it was when he reinforced the idea that I'm going to win the championship and retire and be the last real champion. You can go to Fanatics and buy your toy belt and be the imposter. And the fans in London, they cheered. And when Cody went to go speak, the fans actually booed. And that was the first time that I have heard actual boos from a crowd for Cody. And I said, uh-oh, this is not what you want here. And they started to, and it was mixed in with cheers, but they started to boo him. But Cody was able to win them back. And that's the key. And it didn't take very long, but Cody was able to win them back. And by the time this was over, again, I said the fans won. If you ask me, who do I really think walked away with the edge here in this promo? And maybe this is a hot take. I don't know. I give the edge to Cody. I think Cody didn't just hold his own. I think Cody won the night. If you put, a gun to my head, I have to make a choice. Where he won it for me, John Cena had talked about how, he created all of this, and he effectively created Cody. Cody's like a carbon copy of him. Somebody who studied him and followed him and stole from him, modeled himself after him. So he effectively created him. And then Cody hit him with a line, and this resonated to me, as somebody who followed John Cena's career and has heard from people over the years who used to listen to the podcast or still do listen to the podcast, but said during that whole period where Cena was on top, I stopped watching. Like, they just stopped watching. And the push that John Cena got, him being the guy, and Vince, shoving him down everyone's throats, it really did. That's a real thing. I mean, it turned a lot of people off. And Cody hit him with that line. Cody hit him with the line here about how you disenfranchised so many fans, and it made it easier for me to leave and go somewhere else because you just chased so many people away from the product during your time on top. And don't come out here and pretend as if you left this place better off than it was when you first started here. When you were handed the keys to the kingdom, don't pretend like you left this place better off than it was before you got here. And oh, by the way, who's the one who sold out to The Rock? There's a name that we haven't heard for a month now. I've been waiting to see if his name was going to come up or if he was going to make an appearance. He may have to in these next couple of weeks if Cena's not going to be around. It would be kind of nice, at least if it would be kind of nice if maybe The Rock showed up to try to fill in the blanks here. But when he hit him with those lines, I thought that was kind of like his closing argument, in a way. And it really, I thought it worked very well and it resonated with me. There were indirect references in this promo to Vince McMahon and Tony Khan. They aimed their guns at each other and they emptied the clip, is what these two did tonight in what may well be their final face-to-face before we get to Las Vegas. And they had to do it. If that were the case, they had to do it. It was now or never. So I think they both came out guns blazing. They did what they had to do. What they gave us up to this point has been underwhelming. There's no other way to put it. I mean, you could still appreciate the John Cena heel turn. Oh, I kind of like it. He's going out there and getting heat. That's all well and good. But as for something as monumental as people were making it out to be when it happened, and all the NWO comparisons, we all remember this. It was only a month ago. The follow-up to what should have been like the biggest thing in wrestling in decades was horrendous. And so we needed a segment like this, and they gave it to us. So I was very happy that they did what they did here on this show. I don't know if plans are going to change as far as Cena's schedule, if we're going to see him, if he'll do pre-taped interviews. I don't know. The other thing they gave us that we had not had up until this point was physicality, and it was very brief, as it should have been, but I think we've had our share of pull-apart brawls. We don't need those. But Cena came at him. Cody caught him. Dropped him with one crossroads, which is kind of funny because it takes three for Cody to seemingly beat people these days. He dropped him with one crossroads. Cena was dead. He was unconscious. He just laid there. But Cody Rhodes stands tall at the end of this segment. And does that mean that if we don't see John Cena again until WrestleMania, is that a sign? Cody got one over on him. Cody left him laying. I thought we might have Cena come back at the end of the show and attack Cody in the back. I really did. When this segment was over, I thought, well, if this really is Cena's last appearance, maybe we're not quite done. Maybe they're not really going to go off the air with the Women's Championship match. They're going to shoot some kind of angle in the back by the bus or something where Cena gets his revenge. And that never happened. It was Cody standing tall over him. We're still 3 weeks away. I don't know what that means for the main event. On night 2, we'll see. Obviously, if this were Wrestling 101 and we were 6 days out from the show, I would say, well, that bodes pretty well for John Cena. But a lot can happen between now and then. But this was an excellent segment involving these two. And you know what's scary? I don't even think it was the best thing on the entire show. And again, maybe that's I'm in the minority on that. As great as this was, it was not even my favorite thing on the show tonight. That actually came with Gunther and the Usos. And I think it's funny because these are the two things I've been talking about over and over and over again now for weeks about how this is lacking. We need more. In the case of Gunther and Jey Uso, it's like they were running out of gas. This doesn't feel like a world championship match of WrestleMania. You've got to elevate this. You've got to get this moved up to the next level here because we're only a few weeks away now. Just like with the Cena and the Cody stuff, it's like, all right, we have to elevate this to the next level. Let's get this out of first gear. And I felt the same way about this. And on this show, they did that with both of these angles, both these matches. But in terms of Gunther and Jimmy Uso, they had a match on this show. And what have I been saying? One way to heat this up is to have Gunther go after his blood. Jimmy is family. He's his twin. He's blood. And if you really want to get under Jey Uso's skin, because how many more weeks can we go through? Well, he doesn't believe in himself. People doubt me. Yes, we understand that. We've heard you for the last 8 weeks. We know people doubt you. But there's got to be more to it than that. And here's a great idea. Let Gunther go after Jimmy. And then they made the match, and I said, okay, here we go. Here we go. Now let's see if they follow through. Well, I'm happy to say here, and I'll put this image up on screen because this sums it up right here. This was fucking awesome. This right here was the best thing on the... I don't give a shit what anybody says. This right here was the best thing on the entire show. This right here is exactly what this feud needed. Here you have Gunther in this image, not only destroying Jimmy Uso, he is bathed in the man's blood. And you can't see it in this photo, but he's not only bathed in his blood, he is laughing right in his brother's face. Jey is zip-tied to the rope. He can't help his brother. He's completely helpless. He's trying to break free. And this man, bathed in Jimmy's blood, is laughing in his face. This man came off like the mother of all psychos on this show. And this was Gunther telling Jey Uso, you are beneath me. You are not as good as me. I shouldn't even be in the ring with you. This is what they have me doing here for WrestleMania. I'll show you. I was actually kind of hoping, in light of the news on Friday night, that Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, or Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk are headlining night one. And they did confirm that tonight, by the way. They did say that the night one main event, WrestleMania Saturday, is in fact going to be, as we figured, Roman, Punk, and Rollins. I think we all knew they weren't going to headline night two. So they confirmed that. I was kind of hoping that they would maybe work that into the Gunther and Jey stuff. And that Gunther would be even more, infuriated because he's the world heavyweight champion and, he can't even get the main event spot on night one because in his view, Jey Uso's not a big enough name. He's not a worthy enough name to be in the main event. And so therefore Gunther doesn't get his main event. And that makes him even madder. And they didn't really address any of that. But as it turned out with what they gave us, we didn't really need that. Gunther did a fine job on his own. This was Wrestling 101. This was a classic old school pro wrestling angle. It made sense. It was personal. He got the family involved. We got blood where it actually matters and not just for the sake of doing it. But in this case, the visual of it had added so much to what they were doing because he was fingertips away, but Jey could do nothing. He could do nothing to help his brother. This right here is exactly what they needed to do to heat this angle up. And now we'll see in these next few weeks what kind of side of Jey Uso that we see. Right? We can't just get the same Jey Uso who's going to come out and just yeet, right? This thing just got elevated to a whole new level here. So I thought that angle was fantastic. Not as fantastic as what they did with the Women's World Championship. We had Rhea Ripley getting her rematch against Io Sky. Bianca Belair was the referee. You can pretty much figure how things went here in this match. And suffice it to say that we still have no WrestleMania match for Rhea Ripley. She is not the women's champion. Io Sky is still the women's champion, and it's all Bianca Belair's fault. If you were to ask Rhea Ripley, that's probably what she would say. Actually, you know whose fault this is? This is all Adam Pearce's fault. I said last week, what's he doing? This is an important match here on this show, and you're putting somebody in the ring who has no experience as a referee. This is all his fault. He's got nobody to blame but himself. There's only one thing left to do. The only fair thing to do is to put Rhea Ripley in the match. And while that has not happened yet, I think we all know it's going to happen. It just hasn't happened yet. It's very predictable what they did in the main event. But again, those two angles that I just talked about, that is what carried this show. And that is exactly what I was hoping to see them do. Now we're back in the States. They're going to be in Minneapolis next Monday for Raw. Actually, SmackDown this Friday is in Chicago. And so we shall see if maybe we see some faces that were not on the European tour that may start popping up on TV because they're back on American soil. We'll see. But this is your Raw on Netflix review. Let's get into it here because it is the final day here for the month of March. It is March 31st, 2025. I am the Solomonster. Do me a favor. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. You will see them popping up on your screen as we go along here. Now, apparently, there was a Solomonster sign in the crowd tonight. Shout out to Sana, who is either in the chat or was in the chat earlier, apparently brought the sign to the show. I did not see it, unfortunately, but I got messages from people mentioning it, and I was like, I don't see it, but I know other people did. So in any event, I appreciate that very much. I always love it when the show is represented, especially all over the world, whether it be London, whether it be Saudi Arabia, Canada, anywhere else. That is very cool. So thank you for that. So let's get into it here because as it has for each of the last 2 weeks, Raw opened tonight with John Cena coming out to loud boos and yet another new t-shirt. This one's special for London. Yeah, they really decided, you know what, we're going to turn this guy heel, but we can't give up that merch money. So we're just going to have him continue to come out in the jorts and the t-shirt and the hat. And so we can make sure we have new merch in every city that he goes to. Just like when Brock Lesnar would be on the show and they had the Suplex City shirts. They had one made specifically for each city that they were in. And they do the same thing with John Cena. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the reason why John Cena decided not to change his gear. I know he explained it in the promo, but
I have the best moveset.
He doesn't. But I know he explained it in his promo. But I wonder if the reason that they had him explain it that way in his promo is because, look, we need you to come out in the hat and the t-shirt, okay? Because we got a lot of shirts to sell. We can't have John Cena coming out wearing a fucking suit every week. We can't sell suits. This is not the Men's Warehouse. So go ahead and come up with an explanation for why you're not going to change your gear. Just throw it back in the face of the fans. But we got t-shirts to sell. Anyway, we had Cena get into the ring, and he made it as far as lifting the microphone to his mouth before Cody's music played. And out comes the WWE champion, who actually, speaking of suits, was wearing a very nice pinstripe suit here on this show. Cody said, "We heard enough from you the last 2 weeks. Now it's my turn." Said he's heard the discourse about how Cena's going to cook him. He's going to cook Cody Rhodes on the mic. Where do you want to start? There's so many things that you can pick if you want to make fun of me. So let's start with my lisp. And then he said the word or the name Stardust. And then we got a Stardust chant from the crowd here in London. He said, "Man, that's got to bother you that you're wrestling Stardust in the main event of your very last WrestleMania. What else can you go after?" He goes, "I got an arm tattoo, but it's on my neck." Says, he got booed in the company that he created. Haha. Not the only AEW reference we would have here in this promo. He goes, "I mean, there's so much material here." So the crowd broke into loud, "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants. Cody said his words don't match his actions. Talking about Cena now. And for the last 2 weeks, he's lied to this audience. They used to ride together, the two of them, back in the day. Cody and Cena used to ride together. He knows that he cared about Cody at one point. But for sure, he knows Cena cared about them, the fans. So look at them and really tell them why. Why did you do what you did? So the fans chanted, "You sold out." Now it was Cena's turn. Cena said he's not going to punch down to Cody's level just to protect Cody. He's been protected long enough. He's also not going to cook him. He goes, "No, I'm going to bury you." Uh-oh, there's the B word. A word that was associated for many, many years with John Cena. Although I think in most cases when people were using it, they were using it in the wrong way, as a lot of people typically do. But that was the knock on Cena. He buries people. So he decided to incorporate it here into his promo. And he goes, yeah, the knock on me is that I bury talent. I don't bury talent. He goes, I am talent. I bury mediocrity. He doesn't give a damn about his lisp or Cody's failures. Cody has manipulated his way to the top of this business, and his ego outmatches his ability. All Cody has done here is ride the coattails of Cena's success. Cena's been so great that WWE can hand the heartbeat of this company to his chauffeur. A slimy pickpocket who thinks just because he stole the blueprint, he can run the kingdom. There's your why. Cody Rhodes, because you with that title disgust me. You sat by my side for years. You stole every secret that you needed to be undeniable, but you are still underwhelming. So I tried to drive it into your skull. You have to be authentic because they'll see right through you. They'll see that you're a phony. You didn't listen, and it shows. You're too perfect. You're too polished. You're too rehearsed. You rely on lazy gimmicks like them singing your name over and over and over to get by. And sure enough, fans in London begin singing Cody's name over and over and over again. See, he says, actually, you're just like the Pied Piper because all you've ever done is find a way to make a catchy tune trick these people into loving mediocrity. Oh, there's a Jey Uso joke in there somewhere, but I'm not going to make it. Go strip away his music and his entrance, and there isn't much to look at except a thick, pinstriped suit. Cody Rhodes doesn't look like me, he doesn't act like me, and he sure as hell doesn't work like me. But Cody also, you don't look like you. You don't act like you, and you don't work like you, because after all these years, you're still afraid to show who you really are. So what do we get? Cody gives us a generic mix of every superstar he's ever loved or television show that he's ever watched in some big, confused blob. And it makes him look like a 16-year-old kid taking acting lessons who's still afraid of public speaking. It says, you've shown me one thing, which is someone mediocre wearing something meaningful nowadays is enough to trick these people. He's worked too damn hard to make that, referring to the title, a symbol of mastery, to have it paraded around by a paint-by-numbers sociopathic Nepo baby who was so into himself he had his wrestling gimmick tattooed for the world to see. It's not where your tattoo is at, Cody. It's what your tattoo is that exposes you to the world for who you are, a common fan just like them. So after WrestleMania, it'll be great for Cody. Go straight to Fanatics. Buy the toy belt that they buy, the fans. Call yourself their champion because the last real champion is taking that home forever and exposing you for what you really are, an errand boy that got lucky. And this is the point where Cena actually got a lot of cheers when he was kind of wrapping this up. And Cena chants. So not even like, let's go Cena, Cena sucks, but they were clapping for him and they were chanting his name. And I was like, oh, okay. This is going to be interesting to see how Cody responds to this. So Cody starts speaking and he got some boos. And he said, maybe you're right. Maybe he was chosen. But you know who chose him? They did. The fans. And here there was more of a mixed reaction. You could hear the boos mixed in with the cheers. Can you say the same, John Cena? Or was it one guy in an office who chose you, who's not here anymore, and we don't talk about him? And that line completely made people forget to boo Cody. So honestly, like, had he not hit him with the Vince line at that point, I'm very curious what the reaction to the next, part of this promo would have been. But obviously when he said that, everyone was like, oh, yeah, everybody reacted big to that line. I mean, it's low-hanging fruit. Very much like last year, heading into WrestleMania when you had Punk and Rollins and McIntyre, and then there was that little Vince mention in the promo, and it got everybody's attention. It's an easy thing to throw out there, but still a great line. He goes, oh yeah, let's go ahead. Strip everything away from me, right? He knows this. He knows Cody Rhodes. He's a wrestler like his father before him, and if anyone is a company creation, it's John Cena, not him. Goes, God, everyone's so terrified of you on the mic. I'm not, because I know you've got more dick in your promo than you do in your jorts. And that got a big reaction, a big rise out of everybody in the crowd. You want to make fun of me for appearing like a 16-year-old taking public speaking lessons? Well, you're the one who hangs out with Zac Efron and wishes that he was still 16 years old. And what a softball you've thrown me by saying that you've created all of this and you created me. Here's what you created, pal. You created a lot of disenfranchised fans who made it easy for me to pack up and go elsewhere. Don't act like you cleaned up your room before you left and went to Hollywood, John. Don't act like you left WWE better than you found it. And while we're at it, there are two of us standing in this ring right now, and what I'm gonna, about to ask you, it might punch a hole in this logic of yours. Between you and I, which one of us sold out to The Rock? And I'm like, there it is. It only took, 4 fucking weeks for this guy to be brought up in a promo here on this show? It's about time. Unfortunately, that was the only time it was brought up, but at least it was brought up. So the fans chanted, "You sold out." Cody said, "John, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit." And that got piece of shit chants from the crowd. Cena said, "Just like all these people, your brain is filled with feces and not facts. I have worked 100 times harder than you, and never once in all that time was I ever protected from an audience or a superstar taking their best shot at me. No one has been worthy of putting me in the ground, so he decided to do it himself. That's why he's never left. He's always been here," he says, "because no matter what garbage they give me, I find a way to make it great." Now I'm going to stop there. If you watched John Cena during that run on top that he had from Super Cena into the early 2010s, that whole period was like a fucking 10-year period. Okay, the John Cena was on top. You can almost tell like when Vince McMahon was most hands-on with him. Because to say that everything he was given, he managed to find a way to take it and make it great is such bullshit. It is so patently false. There were so many cringe-inducing segments and promos involving Cena, and I don't even blame him for all of them because he was just working with what he was given. And actually, John Cena has been a guy over the years who has often said that he doesn't play politics, and he doesn't fight for things and push back on things. He takes what's given to him and what his boss tells him to do, and he goes out there and he does it. And I could think of more than a few segments over the years. And I'm not even, you could even take the whole JBL is poopy thing. Remember that? I don't need to get into that with him in Crime Time. But segments like that just made me cringe and just put my head in my hands, that John Cena was involved in over the years. Comedy in the name of being funny and being, comedic. That was so fucking awful. So no, not everything that John Cena was handed, he was able to turn to gold. That is false. But he told him the money line actually came after this. So he says, if you watched, he goes, "You had to leave," he said, "because you realize that even with your best, you can't wipe my ass." And then came the money line. He says, "I make empires for billionaires. All you've ever done is steal money from their kids." Okay, like, holy shit. That was my reaction. And I know there were some people who were like, I didn't get it. Like, it took 5 seconds and then it hit me, but I got it right away. Like, as soon as he said it, I knew exactly what he was talking about. And I said, that's a great fucking line. Number one, that's a great fucking line. Number two, I'm pretty sure that is probably a sign that we're not getting Sting inducting Lex Luger into the Hall of Fame this year, which would be too bad if that were the case. And I hope that's not the case, but that was honestly my first thought. Like, I heard that line. I said, well, I guess that means no Sting for the Hall of Fame. Boy, that sucks. But then he goes, "See you at WrestleMania, champ," because there really was nothing else that Cena could say. Like that's like the ultimate closing line there. So he goes to leave the ring, and Cody stops him. Like, he doesn't touch him, but he's like, John. He's trying to stop him from leaving. And he said, "I just want to remind you, in all the time that I've been here, never once have these people chanted, 'You can't wrestle,' at me." So the crowd begins to chant, "You can't wrestle," at John Cena, not Cody. Cena climbs back through the ropes, And just like last week, he starts to square up. Like he's ready to throw down with this guy. We're going to get some physicality between the two of them. And as with last week, he looks like he's had a change of heart. He's going to leave anyway. Only this time Cena does charge towards Cody. Now, he didn't exactly charge with any great sense of urgency here. Cody clearly telegraphed what he was about to do. He was able to dodge him. And then he dropped Cena with a crossroads. And Cena laid there, still as a board, with his eyes closed, like he was dead from this one crossroads. And Cody posed with his championship. That billionaires line was brutal. Like, it was brutal. And look, if you think that John Cena won the segment because of that line, fine. I look, it could go either way. I was more impressed with Cody, I think, just because I expected John Cena to be great, because this is where he thrives. You know, when he's really ripping into somebody, like, he can be vicious. And you saw that here in this segment, but I wasn't surprised by that. That's the John Cena that I've been waiting for. That's the John Cena that I was hoping we would see coming out of Elimination Chamber. And we would get a little bit of that each week that he was on the show, because I knew he was only back for a limited number of appearances. So again, it's not a case of, well, you just got to be patient and, you know, this segment was always going to come. It's like, dude, we only have him for a handful of shows. And so it's not that crazy to want to see some version of John Cena like this on the show each time that we see him. And he can drop a little bit of some bombs here and a little bit bombs there. And they saved it all for this segment. I really hope this is not the only time that we get it. But I'm not surprised that we got it. With Cody, I didn't know what to expect. Cody doesn't get pushed like this by people on TV very often, right? He was feuding with Kevin Owens. We know Kevin Owens is a very good promo. Even with Kevin Owens, with any of the people that he's worked with, Solo Sikoa, excuse me, Solo Sikoa. Yeah, I mean, nobody else was going to be able to throw it back in Cody's face like John Cena was going to. And I thought he handled himself very well. And he had some great lines in there too. So I give him the edge. But look, you can't go wrong. If you think John Cena won, congratulations. Good for you. I thought they both shined. I thought the important thing was making sure that Cody did not look as if he was outmatched, you know, and overpowered by this guy. And he didn't. And physically, right? They had physicality for the first time. It was John Cena who was left laying. Unlike Elimination Chamber, when it was Cody Rhodes who was bloodied and battered and left for dead in the middle of the ring with a busted eardrum. Right? This time it was Cody. So that was the big difference here. But that's more like it. That's more like it. And now it feels like we have an actual WrestleMania main event between Cody Rhodes and John Cena. It's not John Cena versus the world. It's John Cena against this man. And we had some semblance of an explanation as to why. Right? Why did he sell out to The Rock? Because he didn't have to sell out to The Rock. He won the Elimination Chamber. He already punched his ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. And it's not like he needed Rock to help him become a big movie star, a big mega star, right? John Cena, he's nipping at his heels. John Cena's in Hollywood. He's got TV shows. He's got millions of dollars. He's got a huge social media following. Why? Why did he do what he did? And this is the first time that we've really gotten something of an explanation as to why, right? I've made the comment before that Cody Rhodes, he comes off like he's trying to be a modern day version of John Cena. John Cena is the blueprint of what he is trying to follow. He comes out wearing suits and not jorts, but the way he carries himself in the ring and out of the ring, you know, he's trying to model himself after what Cena did when he was the top guy. And Cena basically mentioned that here and said, you're just riding my coattails. You were my chauffeur. You rode with me. You drove me. Now you think you are me, but you're not. You're a copycat, not even a very good one, because you're not authentic. And I laughed at that one because, again, like I was hearing things that John Cena was saying here in this promo, and a lot of what he was accusing Cody of, you could say the exact same thing about John Cena at different points in his career when he was on top. How many times did we have John Cena come out on TV and try to be funny, or be the narrator? He was like the narrator of the show. He would come out at the beginning of Raw and he would talk about all the things and the different storylines that are going on. Boy, there's so much going on here on Raw. And it was so corny and ham and over the top cornball shit. the way he would act. You mean to tell me he came across as authentic in those promos? This is why people were crowing for years, hoping that we would get a John Cena heel turn, because they were sick to death of what we were getting from him, what Vince McMahon was pushing him as on television every single week. They didn't want that. They wanted a different John Cena. They wanted a heel turn. They wanted the Doctor of Thugonomics back, anything but what they were getting, because he wasn't real. He didn't feel authentic. Maybe later on in his run he did, but that was one of the issues that so many people had with John Cena. This is so phony. What is this guy doing? He's coming out here. Like, what is this? I don't want this. For years. So he's saying these things in this promo, and it's almost like he's projecting, in a way. But the Vince line about, picking Cena as his guy, if you want to be really technical about it, it was Vince McMahon with Bruce Pritchard. I mean, literally flew to Cody's home to talk to him and negotiate with him to bring him back to the company. And it was under Vince's leadership, at the beginning there, when Cody first came back, at least those first few months, where he was pushed very hard and he won 3 straight over Seth Rollins. And then, of course, actually June of 2022 is when the Wall Street Journal story blew up for the first time. But you could argue that, Cody was chosen in effect by Vince as well. Would he have been pushed as hard as he was if he was still around? You know what? I think so. I do. I think Cody would have ended up in the spot that he was in regardless and finished his story. I still think all of that would have happened. But it was kind of funny. If you want to be technical about it, you could make the argument that Vince chose Cody as well as choosing Cena. But the problem with Cena for so many years is that there were people who came along that the fans really liked, and they were never pushed at that same level. It was almost like, okay, they got their legs cut off. We have our guy, and nobody else can break through, which is where the whole argument of, Cena buries people, even though Cena doesn't book the shows and he wasn't known to be, political or anything like that. But people would say, he's burying this guy because he beat this guy. So therefore he buried him. Or he beat that guy. So, that meant that Cena buried them. The only time that it really felt to me like people got buried working with Cena, I always go back to that SummerSlam with the Nexus. That was a burial right there. Whether or not it was intended to be, that's exactly what happened. And the Nexus was never the same after that. And even in hindsight, I think it was Jericho or Edge says that, like, Cena literally came back, like, in the locker room that night and realized, like, okay, what you guys suggested, we should have done that. Like, it did not do any favors to Wade Barrett and those guys. But that's where the whole argument comes from about Cena burying guys and stuff like that. Anybody, it felt like, who might threaten his position as the top guy, like Vince, he would have none of it. He only saw them at a certain level. Like, this guy is the heir apparent. No, he's not. Cena's our guy. And that was the knock on him for so long. But we needed a segment like this, and I'm glad we got it. And Cody got the better of him. Whether or not that's going to be bad news for Cody come Vegas, only time will tell. But this segment gets a very enthusiastic thumbs up from me. By the way, we had Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, and Wade Barrett. Speaking of Wade was on commentary here, I guess, because they're in the UK, they're in London, so we got to have Wade Barrett on the show.
Have the best moveset.
Hey, MGM Ballin'. Thank you for the 1999. Yes, we have another goal going on, a super chat goal in the chat for a second round of Be the Booker. If we get the first, then maybe we'll be able to do 2. So we do have that going in the chat. We had the New Day. They were out to try to prove that they deserve a shot at the World Tag Team titles. Raw General Manager Adam Pearce, he walked out and said that tonight they can indeed try and earn a shot at the titles if they can beat these men. And out came Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate.
I am the
Shut the fuck up.
Joined by the Learning Tree.
Fuck that tree.
Managed by the Learning Tree. God forbid. New Catch Republic is back. Tyler Bate has been out for, God, it's probably close to 9 months, right? Because wasn't it July? I think it was July. So he's been gone for 8 or 9 months. He had a torn pec. It's good to see him back. And also, not for nothing, it's good for Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne has had no direction whatsoever. You know, he had a little tiff going there with Penta. That's about it. The biggest thing outside of that, the biggest thing he was doing was he was being mocked by Sheamus and R-Truth and everybody calling him Butch. And so my hope is that by, you know, putting these two guys back together, I hope that ends this Butch crap once and for all. So it's a good thing for him. Bate gave Kofi Kingston an airplane spin late in the match and dumped him to the mat. He tagged in Pete Dunne. They hit Kingston with simultaneous kicks. Dunne and Bate, they hit a clothesline into a suplex combo that led to Xavier Woods breaking up the pin attempt. Dunne did the finger snap bit on Woods. Joint manipulation, call it whatever you want. Kingston came back with an SOS to Pete Dunne for a near fall. A little while later, Bate set up for a springboard move, but Kingston pulled him down from the apron to the floor. And Kofi tagged in. He joined Woods in hitting their daybreak finish, where Woods will have the opponent across his knee. Kofi comes off the top with a foot stomp, and Kofi covered Dunne for the win. As New Day was heading to the back, they were heading down the aisle. Kathy Kelly approached them for an interview, and Kofi said that they did what they said they were going to do. And so now he is demanding a shot at the World Tag Team titles. That brought out the champs, the War Raiders. They walked out, and they held up their titles in front of the New Day. And so while nothing was officially announced, obviously we are getting a World Tag Team title match, I presume at WrestleMania, since they didn't announce it for TV. This was a decent return for Tyler Bate. It's great to see him back. The match really wasn't anything special. You know, he got to do his airplane spin and, I mean, not much else. I did like how they saved his return for London. Very appropriate for him to make his return there. And I think they'll be a good addition to the tag team division, a division that could really use more teams right now. Because I do feel like there's, especially on the SmackDown side, like after a while, when you have the same 3 or 4 teams going at it over and over, it's like, how many combinations of this can we get? And that's on SmackDown, right? This is a Raw team, but you have that issue with both tag team divisions. So I think it'll be a good addition to the division, and I still can't shake this feeling, though, that I see Pete Dunne turning on him at some point. Pete Dunne took the loss here in this match. So if that happens more often, we're totally going to see Pete Dunne turn on Tyler Bate. Now, backstage, Jey Uso told Jimmy that he would feel a lot better if he was in his brother's corner tonight for his match with Gunther. And Jimmy said that Gunther, he's not the ring general. He's just a man, and he's beatable. And Jimmy said that he would beat Gunther tonight, and then Jey would beat him to become the World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. And Jimmy told Jey, don't worry. And a very concerned Jey Uso pulled his brother in close and told him, I hear you. Just be careful. This was like something out of the Rocky movie where you know the guy's about to die. Like this, I couldn't shake this sense of dread that I had going into what I was expecting to be a massacre. And actually, in terms of the match itself, it really wasn't. It's what came after the match. But they gave Jimmy the jobber entrance for the next match, which was Jimmy Uso one-on-one with the World Heavyweight Champion, Gunther. Of course, this was non-title, obviously. Gunther dropped Jimmy with a big boot to the head in the opening minute of the match. He tossed Jimmy to the floor, ran him into the barricade, and then blasted him with a chop. Now, a little later, he was setting him up for a power bomb, but Jimmy backdropped his way out of it. Jimmy got back into the ring. Gunther tried to follow him, but Jimmy punched him off the apron and then followed that with a suicide dive. Rolled Gunther back into the ring. Jimmy went up top for an Uso splash. Gunther got the knees up on the way down. So the champion then went up top. Jimmy cut him off and then delivered a superplex. Followed that up with an Uso splash. Only got a near fall. Gunther rolled to the ringside area. Jimmy jumped from the ring steps. He got chopped by Gunther, who dumped him on the apron. Now later on, Gunther delivered a power bomb in the ring. And he had the match won. Covered him. And he grabbed his head. And he pulled him up before the referee could count 3. He's not done with this. And I'm licking my chops now. I'm like, all right, here we go. Here we go. This is what I'm hoping to see, right? Like, punish this man. Punish this man. pulls his head up. Going to play with him a little bit more. So then Gunther drills Jimmy with a clothesline, covers him, picks him up again before the 3 count. Then he plays Jimmy in a sleeper until the referee called for the bell. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see where this goes now. I'm unimpressed. I was hoping for more. Gunther teases leaving the ring, looks back, has second thoughts. He goes back in, and he reapplies the sleeper hold. So now Jey Uso's music hits. He comes running down from the back. He tackles Gunther to the mat. Gunther rolls out of the ring, and Jey follows him. Gunther, though, escapes into the crowd. And I'm like, this can't be it. There's so much gold here in this angle. This can't possibly be the end of this. But off he goes. And so Jey goes back into the ring to help his brother. And I'm like, and they go to commercial. So the segment is over. And they go to break. And I'm like, man, this was not what I was hoping this would be. And I'm really hoping, I'm hoping there's some backstage angle planned here when they come back out of this break. Like I'm like withholding judgment until the commercial's over. Let's see what happens here. So they come back from commercial and they're still at ringside. And Jey and a trainer, they're helping Jimmy away from the ringside area. And they didn't make it very far before they got jumped by Gunther. He came back and he jumped them from behind. Gunther ran Jey into the ring steps. He was setting up to powerbomb him on the steps, on the flat part of the ring steps. Security intervenes. So he lets Jey go and he decides instead he grabs one of the security geeks and he gives him a powerbomb onto the steps. And then he turns around and he boots another one in the gut and knocks him down. He ran Jey into the ring post and then he grabs some zip ties. And I don't know why they were just laying around. I presume I think what he did was he ripped them off of the belt loop or maybe out of the pocket of the geek that he had powerbombed on the steps. Because all of a sudden he had these zip ties in his hand. And so he's punishing Jey a little bit more. And he takes the zip ties and he ties them to Jey's wrist, his right wrist, and he ties Jey's wrist to the middle rope. Just the one wrist. So now he's tied there and he turns his attention to Jimmy, who's still on the floor on the outside. He runs Jimmy into the barricade. Then he grabbed his championship belt, brought it back into the ring with him. Jey crawls into the ring because he was actually standing outside the ring while he was zip tied to the rope, but he climbs into the ring. He can't go very far, but now he's in the ring and Gunther is in the ring and he's smiling and he's laughing and he's taunting him, dangling the World Heavyweight Championship in front of this man, the title that he says Jey will never win. This is as close to this title as you're ever going to get. And it's just out of his reach. And Jimmy is now surfacing. And he stumbles up onto the apron. Gunther spots him, and he blasts Jimmy in the head with the World Heavyweight Championship, knocks him back down to the floor. So now he turns his attention back to Jey, who's tied to the rope. And he continues to taunt him. About a minute or so later, maybe not even, Jimmy now is back up on the apron, and he is busted open. He is wearing the proverbial crimson mask. This is not like a little cut. Like, he's fucking bleeding, okay? He's wearing the crimson mask. Gunther powerbombs Jimmy, and he begins to throw punches at him. And at this point, Gunther, he had Jimmy's blood on him because there was enough of it that now he's got Jimmy's blood on him. And he licked Jimmy's blood off his fingers and then spat it out, which was fucking gross. But it was funny also because it was almost like, ew, like common blood, We can't have any of that mixed in with my blood. So all this time, Jey is grabbing his wrist. He's trying to free himself from the zip ties and pull himself free, and he just can't do it. You would think this man was padlocked to the rope. But I guess he must have had that zip tie tight because he couldn't get it off. Gunther locks Jimmy in a sleeper hold, and he falls backwards with him. Right, he's got like the body grapevine, and he's got him locked in the sleeper, and it's a great visual because unlike the one he put him in earlier, this time now Jimmy's covered in blood, and it's like the image I put up on the screen before. This is it right here. This image that you see on your screen, covered in blood. Gunther has got him in the sleeper, and the entire time he is looking over at Jey in the ropes. He looked like an absolute psychopath here. And he's looking up at Jay and he says, "Get closer, you pussy." I swear to God. He's like, "Get closer, you pussy. You big pussy," he called him. I was not expecting that. Like, if you should have heard the laugh, the cackle that I let out, because it was just so like out of character for this man. I was not expecting that. And you really had to like read his lips and kind of listen. It wasn't like it was like audible to the entire building. I don't think anybody in the arena would have heard it unless you were in the front row. But I heard it and I was like, holy shit. But he's just taunting this man and he's laughing at him as he's saying these things. Adam Pearce gets into the ring with a group of producers and they're yelling at Gunther, "What are you doing? Get off of him." And he gets up, he poses with his world championship. And again, he is covered in this man's blood. This was fucking great. I love this. I personally, I love this more than the opening segment. This to me right here is what wrestling is all about. This is it right here. Gunther is like the ultimate supervillain, right? I mean, he comes out there, he's so smug and he's so arrogant, like he's just better than everybody else and you're not at my level and you and I shouldn't be breathing the same air. You know, I'm the ring general and the mat is sacred and you're a peon and you're less than. And that's been the whole knock on Jay this entire time, is that you're not at his level. You're not an elite caliber athlete like this man. You don't deserve to even be in the same ring with him. That's why you've lost 3 times to him. You're 0 for 3, right? Now, if he loses a WrestleMania and goes 0 for 4, he'll be like the Atlanta Braves, which is even worse. But he's just so fucking good in his role. And so now you add in the family factor and him going after Jimmy as viciously as he did. The blood just added to it. And it's one of those things where, again, blood can be overdone. But when it's done sparingly or when it's done in select situations, it can be so much more effective. That's why we had it in the Hell in a Cell match. And I'm just talking WWE now. We don't see blood like we saw in the Hell in a Cell match, right? Between CM Punk, let alone double juice, between Punk and McIntyre. We don't see it very often. So I remember watching that match at Bad Blood, and fucking 20 years ago, I wouldn't have batted an eyelash, right? Because you saw that all the time, but we don't get to see it that often in WWE anymore. And so it's like, okay, Hell in a Cell. If you're going to save it, that's the perfect time to save it. This angle needed something to juice it up. This is what it needed. The visual of this man savagely beating his brother down, blood all over him. Jimmy is just laying there. He's helpless and he's tied to the rope and he can't do a fucking thing about it. It's so simple. It's such a simple angle, but it just works so well. If I had one critique about this, I feel like Jay, he could have showed even more emotion. He was trying to free himself and he was kind of talking some shit to Gunther. I mean, I don't want him to overact, but I almost wish like maybe he could have been even a little more like angry at him, like trying to get at him. But it's a minor thing. I mean, this angle was so great. And now, of course, as with everything, the key is in the follow-up. We still got another 2 Monday nights left to go before WrestleMania. What are they going to do between now and then? Are they going to do a contract signing? Is Jay going to come out and cut this impassioned promo, which I think is what he needs to do? I think he needs to come out and we need to see a side of Jey Uso in this promo that we get the next time we hear from him that we haven't seen, if not ever, in a very long time. No yeeting, no catchphrases, nothing like that. Like really tap into a side of him that we have not seen. What did Jimmy say last week? Like the right-hand man? That version of Jey Uso. This just took this feud to the next level. This is what it's been missing. So I loved everything about this. Exactly what I was hoping it would be. I honestly didn't think we were going to get the blood splattered everywhere. That to me was just a great bonus. I mean, look at this. Look at this. He's wearing a red jersey too, and it's like his face matches his jersey. It's great. This looks like a crime scene, only with the Snickers logo. Yeah, the Snickers logo kind of kills it, to be honest with you. Anyway, we go backstage. Finn Balor was talking with Dominic Mysterio and Carlito. When Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez arrived, Liv said it looked like Balor and Dom buried the hatchet. Balor was in a great mood. And he said, brothers fight like cats and dogs, but they always make up. And then he very condescendingly told Raquel Rodriguez, I'm sorry about your loss to Lyra Valkyria. He goes, don't worry, though, because I'll bring home the Intercontinental title. And Raquel flashed a smile, and then when Balor turned away, she looked very angry once he and Dom left. So Carlito stayed behind. The women were like, what are you still doing here? Go with them. So he left, and then Liv told Raquel, we need to talk about Bayley and Lyra. We had Braun Breaker and Penta as tag team partners. They were opponents. Now they're tag team partners on this show against Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio. Penta made a hot tag late in the match to Breaker, and this is where things picked up. Balor tagged in also. Breaker meets him with some shoulder tackles. Balor tried a vertical suplex, and he couldn't get it. So Dom gets in the ring to help him, only for Braun to suplex both of them. And it's not really enough for me to sit here and say that, he suplexed both of them. He reversed them. Like, he slowly picked them both up. Two men. I know Balor's not the biggest guy in the roster, but still, two men that he lifted up and he held them vertically for a good couple of seconds and then slammed them down. That's impressive. I was hoping his knees would not buckle beneath him. I think back to that fucking Rick Boogs spot with the Usos at WrestleMania a few years ago where he was getting them both up for the double Samoan drop and his fucking knee just gave out on him. I'm like, please. But he was okay, and it was just a very impressive spot. So Balor rakes the eyes, and the fans went nuts for it, by the way. So the fans are going nuts, and Breaker's all fired up now, and Balor rakes his eyes. But then Braun hits him with a running clothesline in return. He tags out to Penta. Breaker then gets Balor up on his shoulders. Penta climbs to the top rope. And these two guys, they did a variation of the old Steiner Brothers Bulldog spot, which was very cool. Only in this case, Penta basically did a sling blade off the top instead of the Bulldog. And he took him all the way down to the mat. That was very cool. I thought that was a very cool spot. Penta went for a Mexican destroyer on Balor. Dom grabbed him from the apron. And the referee just stood by and watched as Breaker set up for a spear. Dom warned Balor that it was coming. Dom then shoved Penta into Balor. That knocked Balor aside, and so Braun ended up spearing his partner by accident. And it was a pretty vicious one, too, and he spears Penta. Dominic dropkicked Breaker out of the ring. Balor hit Penta with the coup de grace and picked up the win for the Judgment Day. And that is Penta's first pinfall loss. His first loss in WWE. Now, it came in a tag team match, but still, the first time his shoulders have been pinned to the mat, it's not a big deal. Again, anybody who's going to freak out about that, I would rather he be pinned, frankly, than the champion, if we're being honest. So, not a big deal, but he took the pin, and he had to take the pin for it to lead to where they are going here. Because when the match was over, he confronted Breaker in the back, and he was pissed. Even though clearly it was an accident, but he didn't feel that way. And so they had to be separated in the back later because Penta was very bent out of shape about what happened. There were some cool spots here in this match. They worked well together as partners for the first time, and they established a reason why Penta now would really have an issue with Braun Breaker. Later in the back, the Judgment Day was gathered, and Balor was giddy about their win and pinning Penta. This comes after he said, I got the better of Braun Breaker last week. Now I pin Penta this week. So I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce about getting another shot at the Intercontinental title. And he walked off. And Liv Morgan, stirring shit, stirring the pot here in the Judgment Day. She looks at Dominic and she says, you going to let him talk like that? Like, he said that he won the match. He didn't say that you both won the match. You were in the match too. How are you going to let him talk? And Dom's like, no. He didn't mean it that way. And so I'm thinking, look at this woman here. She's stirring shit up between these two guys. And not only that, Balor had a match with, if you remember, Breaker, lost, right? Didn't win the Intercontinental title. There was a match last month that Dominic had with Braun Breaker, also for the Intercontinental title. And Liv Morgan pointed out, like, Balor lost his match. You didn't lose yours. I mean, he did technically. He lost by disqualification. But, fair point for her to make. And again, Dom's trying to play it cool, like, yeah, no, it's not a big deal. She said, I'm going to go talk to Pierce. When he's done talking to Pierce, I'm going to go talk to Pierce. And I'm going to try to get you a shot at the Intercontinental title. And Dom played dumb like he had no idea what she was talking about. Again, he can play dumb all he wants to. Clearly, he's more in the know than he's letting on in these segments. And it still feels like we're headed for a fatal four-way. I think it's going to be Breakker, Penta, Balor, and I think after this week, it's obvious we're going to get a fatal four-way. And then maybe we get the Judgment Day implosion coming out of that. Maybe Dominic wins the Intercontinental Championship. Maybe at the end of all of this, it's fucking Dom who walks away with the title and not Penta. I think Braun Breaker, you asked me now, we're still a few weeks away. Braun Breaker, I think, is losing that title at WrestleMania because I actually think it's time to start really building him up for something bigger. I don't know if it's going to be Penta. I don't know if it's going to be Dom. I really think it's pretty wide open. You can make the argument that any of those four could very well walk out of WrestleMania with the championship. But I would not disqualify the possibility that Dominic could walk out with that title. I think most people would assume Penta, but no, not necessarily. Not necessarily, but that match is not yet official. So we go to the back. Chad Gable is standing with Adam Pearce. And Adam Pearce is listening to this man talk about what a great signing this El Grande Americano has been. How great has this guy been? He goes, I would love to get in the ring with him one day. And Gable then feigned being sick again. He produced another doctor's note, as he did last week. He was trying to get out of having a match tonight. And Pierce said, yeah, well, that's a shame because next week, Raw's in Minneapolis, so it's really too bad that you're still sick. And Gable goes, that's my hometown. He goes, I'll be fine by then. And Pierce is like, no. I mean, it looks like you're sick. And look, I don't want you to wrestle if you're sick. Nothing more important than your health. He said that it doesn't matter anyway. I've already made arrangements for El Grande Americano to be in action in Minneapolis next week. So Gable turns to leave. He runs into Otis, Tozawa, Maxine Dupree. Clowns, he said, as he looked at Maxine. Then he looked at Otis and called him an idiot before walking away. Maxine walked up to Pierce and said, look, if you have some time, I'd like to have a conversation with you about my career. I've been talking to Natalia and we've got some ideas. And he goes, well, let's have a conversation. They didn't have the conversation in front of us. Presumably they went off camera and had that conversation, but Maxine wants to have a conversation with the GM. Get in line. I'm sure this guy's got a line outside of his office. Get in line. Now, a few weeks ago at Madison Square Garden, AJ Styles came out and he called out Logan Paul. Well, coming into this show here, the preview said Logan Paul calls out AJ Styles. So we're going back and forth here with the call-outs. Styles was out to the ring first, though. He's soaking up the AJ Styles chants here in London. He says that he's been waiting in the back very patiently, but he hasn't been called out yet by Logan Paul. So if Logan has something to say to his face, come on out and say it right now. So Logan Paul does indeed respond. He makes his way out with a bottle of Prime. So you got to squeeze that product placement in there. He gets drowned out by booze. And he tells AJ that he's had a change of heart. I'm a girl dad now, and I'm trying to teach her the art of forgiveness. So AJ, I forgive you for what you did in Madison Square Garden. Styles says, well, I have a daughter too. So he forgives Logan as well. He forgives him for being the biggest douchebag to ever set foot in a WWE ring. He brags about being a success and all of his money, but these fans don't care about that. They care about what you're willing to sacrifice in this ring for them. And Logan has all the talent, but talent will only get you so far. So the question is, what are you going to do with it? And Logan wonders if AJ is threatening him. Styles says that I've got my gear on. We're standing here in the middle of this ring. So what do you think? And Paul says, I don't fight for free. And this city can't afford me. So he calls out all the pores in the crowd like he's MJF. If AJ wants that big money match with him, he should set his sights a little bit higher. And he points, there it is. He knew it was coming. He points to the WrestleMania sign. And then he goes for a cheap shot. AJ, though, is waiting for him. He goes for a Styles clash. Logan avoids it. and dives out of the ring. AJ follows him. He gets tossed. He tosses him back inside. As Styles re-enters the ring, though, Logan pulls the rope to low blow him. Pulls the rope up. And then he drops AJ with his new pulverizer finish, which he first debuted, I think it was last month, right? It was his qualifying match, I think, for the Elimination Chamber. It's a very cool finish. I will say it's actually a very cool looking finish. It looks great. It looked great here. The segment itself left a lot to be desired. It was a very basic segment. There was nothing wrong with it, but it wasn't great. But it set the table for the obvious match that we are getting at WrestleMania between AJ Styles and Logan Paul. I think that the two of them, their styles, no pun intended, I think will mesh well. And I think that they're going to go out there and have what should be a very good match on the undercard. I think it's a good spot for both of them to be in. So I don't have any issue with the match. I just didn't think much of the segment here. Backstage, Jackie Redmond spoke with Lyra Valkyria, who wants to thank Bayley for her help last week, but she has to make it clear that she can stand on her own 2 feet. Lyra wants to prove that she can beat Bayley because if you remember, Bayley pinned her. They had an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, and she got pinned. This was right after she won the championship. I think it might have been legitimately the first singles match that she had after she won the Intercontinental title. 3 or 4 weeks later, whatever it was, and she fucking lost to Bayley. And she says that it's bothered her ever since. Bayley's the only person who's beaten her since she won the title. It's driving her crazy. So next week, we're going to have a rematch. The only difference is this time she is going to put her Intercontinental title on the line. So that match is official for next week. So the question is, what are we looking at here? Because they're doing this match next week. They're not saving it for WrestleMania. So based on what Liv and Raquel, they were scheming earlier in the show, I have to imagine that this match next week has no winner, right? We're going to get the Judgment Day. We're going to get Liv and Raquel interfering or running distraction for whoever. I mean, they don't really have a favorite, I don't think, in this match. And it looks like we're not going to get an Intercontinental title defense at WrestleMania. We're probably heading for a women's tag team title match with Liv and Raquel defending against Lyra and Bayley. So this idea that maybe we were going to get Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross and they were going to, that seems to be out the window at this point, unless they're going to turn this into some huge multi-team match and they're waiting until they get back to the States and then we're going to see Alexa Bliss and the Wyatt Six, because we've heard nothing from them. Right? They're not on the tour. So when they're back in Minneapolis next week, what is that, April 7th? All right, so we're 2 weeks out. Less than 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. They could always rush them onto television and reestablish, Alexa and the Wyatt Six, but they never even really made the connection between them. Last we saw Alexa Bliss, which was before the European tour, there were those glitches during her matches on TV. You knew there was some connection with the Wyatt Six. They never established it. So to do that 2 weeks before WrestleMania, I think would be kind of silly. It just feels to me like they're probably just not in the plans for that show. So I think we got a pretty good clue here as to what the women's tag team title match is going to be.
I am the Lord.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Roxanne and Bayley. That's another one.
Fuck that tree.
Boy, that Roxanne and Bayley bill just got dropped cold. I thought for sure they were building to a match either at Mania or Stand and Deliver. And they just completely got away from that. They went in a totally different direction. I don't know what's up with that. But they closed the show with Rhea Ripley getting her rematch for the Women's World Championship against Io Sky with Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. Bianca walked out wearing the greatest referee attire that I have ever seen in the history of refereeing, okay? Forget Shawn Michaels and his little fucking short. I try to forget that all the time. But we were told that she spent the entire weekend in her hotel room in London stitching together her own outfit and making her own referee gear, because Bianca makes her own ring gear, for those who don't know. She's very talented. So apparently she made her referee outfit for this show. She did a great job. So she makes her way out to the ring. There was a spot on the floor outside a few minutes into this match where Io went to give Rhea what happened was Rhea got her on her shoulders, right? She had dropped her face forward on the apron, and now Rhea is standing there. And she has Io Sky on her shoulders. Io looked like she was going for a poison rana on the floor. Something got fucked up, and Rhea didn't go over for it, but they both fell down. And so it looked awful. So they did that. It was a very awkward spot. Then in the ring, they were on the ropes, and it looked like Io was going for a poison rana off the middle rope, right? Rhea was standing on the middle rope. Rhea countered the attempt. And so she gets Io on her shoulders. And it looked like they were really struggling up there, trying to figure out what are they doing here. But Rhea gets her on her shoulders in like a Samoan drop position. And she falls backwards with her for seemingly a Samoan drop off the ropes. Only Rhea is laying down and Io isn't selling it at all. And I'm like, what is going on here? She just delivered a Samoan drop off the ropes to this woman. And Io isn't selling it, and Rhea's down, and then Io covers her. And Rhea kicks out, and obviously they sold it like, oh no, she countered it into like a crucifix bomb. It didn't look like a crucifix bomb. Even on the replay, like Io took the brunt of the impact. So it just looked all fucked up. Like, and at this point, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, is this just an off night for these two? Like, what? The fans are super into it because they like Io and they love Rhea. So at least they not like they shat on it or anything like that, but it was like, okay, this is kind of rough here. It was definitely not without its uncharacteristically rough moments, considering who was in the ring. Io went for a top rope crossbody block. Ripley, though, headbutted her out of midair. That was cool. And she covered her for a near fall. Rhea set up for a riptide. Io countered into a guillotine. And Ripley powered out of that. She delivers a razor's edge. And then as Io got to her knees, Ripley drilled her with a running knee strike. Actually, it was like a shining wizard. And covered her. Great near fall. Fans thought she had it. Barely got out. And so the fans are super into it. Ripley now is protesting the count. Michael Cole is saying, look, it was a good count. It looked like Rhea was getting very frustrated now, he points out. Ripley set up Io for riptide. Sky slipped behind her and rolled her into a pin attempt. Only got 2. Rhea threw a kick at Io, who moved, which caused Rhea to inadvertently kick Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair, and again, clearly an accident, but there's your ref bump. Okay, thanks, Adam Pearce. Good job. There's your ref bump. Bianca bumps out of the ring. She rolls out of the ring. She sold this like she was hit with a fucking hammer. And she's outside, and she's out there for a while from one kick. And so we see her, and look, we've seen her take much worse than that. So, it's very silly, but you could see the angle they were doing here. Ripley hit Io with a riptide. She got the visual pin. This is why they did it. They were setting up this spot. There's no referee. So Rhea is covering the champion, and the crowd is counting along. 1, 2, 3. They counted all the way up to like 11 or 12. There's no referee. Rhea looks outside, and Bianca's not like unconscious, but she's like, licking her wounds. And Rhea's looking out there at her and telling her to get in the ring and count. So Bianca re-enters the ring. She counts. Of course, too much time has gone by, and Io kicks out. Bianca stumbles around the ring. She's still selling the effects of this fucking kick. So she's stumbling around. I mean, did she get super kicked by the Young Bucks with their exploding sneakers? They have those thumbtack boots, right? Those thumbtack sneakers that they wore. So Rhea is yelling at her. Io and Rhea, they ended up in the ropes, right? Like they're up against the ropes. And Bianca's trying to call for a rope break. And she's counting 1, 2, 3, 4. And she stops. She doesn't count 5. And she grabs Rhea and kind of violently, pulls Rhea back to get her off of Io and get her out of the ropes. Now, she was being very fair the way I see it. As the referee, she could have counted to 5 and she could have thrown the whole match away. But she opted not to do so. So Ripley slaps Bianca. Io went for a missile drop kick. Rhea moved, and Io knocks Bianca out of the ring with it by accident. And at that point, Bianca had taken enough of their shit. She calls for the bell, and Alicia Taylor announces that this match has been declared a double disqualification. Fans are not happy about this. Rhea went to the floor. She and Bianca start throwing bombs at each other until Io wipes them both out with a springboard moonsault. Did we not learn any lessons from JD McDonough doing the same thing on that same side of the ring, especially this close to WrestleMania? What are we doing? Io got Ripley in the ring. She's throwing punches at her. Bianca gets in. She pulls her off, and now she's working over Io. Rhea pulls Bianca off of Io, puts Bianca down with a riptide, and then she picks up Io, gives her another riptide. Rhea stands tall. Michael Cole says the problem is that Rhea Ripley is still not going to WrestleMania because Rhea Ripley did not win the championship. Therefore, she still has no match. She is not on the WrestleMania card. Nothing has really changed. So there was a one more time chant that rang out, and Rhea thinks about it, and she gets back into the ring just when she was about to exit the ring. And she gets back into the ring, pulls Bianca to the middle rope, and hits. This is the same move she won the championship from Charlotte Flair with at WrestleMania 39, and hits Riptide from the middle rope. And then she grabs the Women's World Championship, raises it high above her head. But the fact remains, as of this moment, Rhea Ripley not going to WrestleMania. For now. Keywords, for now. This was not their best outing, these two, but the near falls down the stretch. They had good heat. People were into it. You knew we were going to get a fuck finish. You had to know. I mean, the minute they announced Bianca as the referee, you knew we were going to get some kind of a fuck finish because there was no way Bianca was ever going to count Rhea Ripley and count a pin for her to crown her the new Women's World Champion. It just wasn't going to happen. So you knew something like this was going to happen. Look, was it lame? Sure, it was lame, of course, but it was expecting it coming in. I don't know why people, if they are super upset, would be that upset about it. You'd have to be a friggin' dummy, not to see something like this coming. Rhea now has a reason to complain to Adam Pearce and say, look, this was my rematch. This was my shot. And I had the pin. She had the visual pin for over 10 seconds on the champion, and there was no referee. Me kicking her was clearly an accident. It was unintentional. It was unavoidable. And I should have won this match. What are you going to do to rectify this? So what's he going to do? Is he going to make another match? No, he's going to add her to the match, and that's how we get the triple threat match. And all three women will wrestle for the championship at WrestleMania. So obviously that's going to be the destination here. Not the strongest thing on the show. That belongs to the opening segment and the Gunther and the Usos. What they did in their segment was fabulous. I loved every bit of that. Cena and Cody was exactly the kind of segment we needed on this road to WrestleMania, which is not over yet because we still have a few weeks. They are back in the States next week. They're going to be in Minneapolis. They're going to be in Chicago on Friday for SmackDown. So we shall see if we do get some faces. Well, we're going to get at least one face on SmackDown that we haven't seen before, right? Ray Phoenix. We saw Penta tonight. Ray Phoenix is going to be debuting on SmackDown on Friday, and we'll find out then if he's going to have a direction for WrestleMania, because why debut him now if he's not going to be on the WrestleMania card? Maybe it will be him and Grande Americano. Maybe that'll be the match. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll, see what you thought of Raw. From London, the final stop here on the European tour, 82.3% thumbs up. 11.5% thumbs in the middle, and 6% of you said this was a thumbs down show. So a very strong, very positive score here for this show. Undertaker here in this super chat is not impressed. I think Undertaker is appalled by that 6%. That's the face that I made when I saw that. A very good show on the whole. That's all you can really ask for. And the end of the early shows. So when we get to SmackDown on Friday night, it's back to normal. 8 to 11, live at 11:30ish on YouTube. I wish it was earlier, but it's back to normal. It's the way it goes. All right, let's take a look at your super chats here. I thank you all for the support. We've had a pretty damn great month of March. Trying to go out on a high note here. maybe the best March we've ever had, honestly, on the channel. And now we're heading into WrestleMania month. So hopefully that means we're going to have a great April as well. We start with your earlier messages here. I'm going to read them all, as I always do. And we are going to start with Gabriel, who actually is starting us off with an AEW question. Got Gabriel Boss with a super chat. After watching Collision, is there a chance that Mercedes Moné loses 2 matches in the near future? First in the final of the Owen to Athena, and then at All In. No. No, because I think that my theory is that they wrestle in the Owen and they go to a draw. So that's my theory. And then from there, you have a second and maybe a third match. Josh Stockton says, "Hi, Solo. It's great to be able to donate 2 weeks in a row. I'm finally sold on Cody versus Cena segment of the year already, in my opinion, without being dramatic. It's just a shame that we had to wait 3 weeks and it's Cena's last appearance until WrestleMania." Yeah, I hope that changes. I really do hope that changes. I hope we can get more. You know, I'm fairly confident that we are not going to get the end of the John Cena heel turn at WrestleMania. There's always the chance he doesn't win and then he ends up, you know, going back babyface, and it's far too early for that. I mean, he literally just turned, you know what I mean? But if it's a WrestleMania thing to help get Cody Rhodes over and pass the torch, it could be a brief thing. I'm hoping that's not the case, but let's say it is, though. You know, let's say it is. If this is all we get, you know, for all the years that people waited for a John Cena heel turn, if like this is it, what a waste. What a waste. Well, if he's going to wrestle CM Punk, though, it's got to be as a heel. So I'm pretty confident it won't be the end. Dark Effect, thank you for the $10 super chat. Matt Scott. "Hi from my 225-pound seat." That doesn't mean his seat weighs 225 pounds. That's what he paid in British pounds. Guess he was at the show. "Great show tonight in London. Cross and Lyra on main event, though. What did you think of the European crowds?" So I think the European crowds are generally fun. I am tired of the songs where they take the person's name and they just sing the, like, I'll be very happy not to hear that for a while. So honestly, it's one of these things where I like the European crowds. It's kind of like if you go on vacation to a place like Las Vegas. I would love to go back to Vegas. I haven't been there in many years, and I'm not going to Mania, obviously, but if I went to Las Vegas, like, I could be there for 4-5 days, maybe. By like the 5th day, maybe even the 4th day, it's like, I'm ready to go home. As I sit here now, I'm ready for them to go home. Like, it's time to go home. So I'll be very happy when they're back in the States next week for Raw, or Friday in Chicago for SmackDown. Because I'm all the songs and everything, like, I'm kind of over it. I think we need to take a break from that. Like, I'm good with just good old-fashioned cheering and booing. You know, just be loud with the cheers and the boos, but I could do without the fucking songs every 5 seconds. The Real CS. "When they showed Triple H versus Cactus Jack," he says. Hold on a second. Let me put my favorite song on here. Yeah. Love it. The Real CS says, "When they showed Triple H versus Cactus Jack during the show, I thought they were putting the match into the Hall of Fame. I was like, bruh, he's going in again." Oh, that's funny. Yeah, they had a video package on the show. They were promoting Triple H going into the Hall of Fame. And so they had highlights from his street fight at the Royal Rumble in 2000 with Cactus Jack, which is, I've always said, that's the match that sold me on Triple H as like a main event level performer. And he basically said the same thing in his video package. But I didn't think that, but that would be fucking hilarious. Like, We're putting Triple H into the Hall of Fame, and hey, we're going to put one of his matches into the Hall of Fame, so he'll get 2 rings. He'll have 1 ring for each hand. That would be funny. He also says, it's about time we got a Raw that feels like WrestleMania season. It only took them 4 weeks, but here we are. It is only 1 show. Let's hope they can carry that over. Owen Curtis. Gunther as an honorable Matt is sacred heel is nice, but tonight he showed his true colors. Yeah, his true color is red, as in the blood of his adversaries. He says, beneath all of that is a sadistic son of a bitch. I love it. You and me both. It's the best thing on the entire show. Honey deep fried chicken with flavor. This chicken has a question to ask. Why didn't Rhea Ripley help Bianca Belair to the ring and use her arm and hand to do the pin count like Austin? Because she wasn't unconscious. When he did that with Vince McMahon got blasted in the fucking head with a chair. Like legit. So much so that he needed dental work the next day. So he was unconscious. Bianca Belair was not unconscious. That's the difference. The Real CS says, I know his deal is coming up soon, but I see him re-signing, but I may be in the minority. I would like to see Karrion Kross be the one to beat Jay for the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, I mean, I like Kross, but I don't agree. I do not want to see that. And he has not been prepped to be in that spot. If they want to try to push him and eventually he gets to that level, that's great. But no. Josh Worthington says Cody mentioning Vince to Cena on that promo was most not likely part of the script. That was absolutely golden. I mean, it's no different than the Punk and the McIntyre and the Rollins segment last year. If it had to be cleared, it was cleared. Otherwise, you know, they talked about it before. They knew what they were going to do. Base Beer says Brooke knows best. I agree. Brooke knows best and Hogan knows shit. And he also says Solo Racing Queen is your next karaoke song. Oh, I can do that. I can do that in my sleep. That's my jam. Joseph Stewart, do you think it would have made more sense for The Rock to be the one, or to be the heel champion going into WrestleMania 17 with Stone Cold being the babyface and not turning heel at the end of the match? In hindsight, yeah. I think we could all look back and say, yes, that would have made more sense. I think that's safe to say. Jeremy Rose with the 25 says, nothing better than bumping Redline in the ride as I leave work early for an afternoon Raw. Unfortunately, those days are done now. Hopefully going back to regular time, they become more watchable for the road to WrestleMania. Yeah, and by the way, you know, when I talk about the European crowds and the American crowds, what I'm hoping we don't get are more fucking dead American crowds. Because some of those US crowds, like before the European tour, were just dead as shit. That I don't want. So hopefully these fans will see that they've got some work to do here. Otherwise, the European crowds are going to make them look bad. Can't have that. Suplex. Not gonna lie, I would be absolutely pissed if I was from Glasgow. Got a repeat from Brussels and London got to see an actual back and forth. Yeah, I'd be pretty upset about that too. Aussie of Steel with 32 months of channel membership. It's my birthday today. He says 26 years young. You get an air horn for your birthday. Happy 26. Thank you for spending part of it with me and all of us. Joseph Stewart, buy or sell Jack Nicholson as the Joker or Jim Carrey as the Riddler? How is that even a question? Jack Nicholson is the Joker. He's the second best Joker of all time. Salvador Nunez from Create a Wrestler, champion. Hashtag app. Well, okay then. Salvador, thank you. We've got Coach sipping Jamba Juice out of a straw with a $5 super chat. So glad Cena put that overrated bum in his rightful place, buried 6 feet under with the rest of the mediocre sorry excuses for talent. Bum. I'm guessing that the coach is siding with John Cena in this promo. C Guy is here. Thanks, Solo. Been a minute live. Have a good night, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the $18. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed. There have been some people who normally don't get to join live because we have been going live earlier, and so that may not be possible for them in the future, but hopefully they'll make time. It'd be nice for you guys to stick around. MGM ballin' with the 1999. Great Raw tonight, but I can't help but ask the hard-hitting question, where is Maven? We have been clamoring for the return of the greatest superstar for the past 20 years. It's getting ridiculous at this point. Love you, Solo. Well, Maven is a little bit busy. Maven is exposing people for their shortcomings. That's what he did with Just Incredible. If you didn't see that video. I think Maven is someone who can do much better work in those situations than he can in the ring at this point. Jerome Eugenio, when did you first think Bret Hart could be WWF champion? I didn't. Back then, it just happened. You know what? I learned about it. Well, I'm guessing I learned about it from an Event Center update like everybody else on the syndicated shows. But like when the magazine, I had a subscription to the magazine back then. And they had like a whole breaking news update because there was always like a lag. There was a delay with the magazines, but they had like this big breaking news update in there. Oh, Bret won the title. It's like, huh. It just sort of happened. I never... Back then, there wasn't a moment where I'm like, oh, he's going to be WWF champion. I was kind of like Bret. Bret always said, like, he always thought Intercontinental was going to be the ceiling for him. That's kind of what I thought, just because back then you had your top guys and then you had your great workers that were sort of stuck in the middle there. So, but I dug it. You know, when he won the championship, I thought it was cool. Joseph Stewart, buy or sell DDP against the Macho Man at Spring Stampede or DDP against Macho Man at Halloween Havoc? Well, I'm not going to lie. Off the top of my head, I don't remember which match went with which event. So I don't remember which one of the two I liked more. There was one that I liked the most, but I don't remember which event it was. I think it may have been Halloween Havoc, but I don't remember. Brother Fluff Salisbury, do you think that someone will make Cena submit during this heel run? I can't remember the last time that he tapped out in a match. I can. I'm almost positive it was against Kurt Angle in 2003. Do I think that he'll submit? I don't think so. I mean, the guys that he is probably going to work with, Cody, Punk, Orton. I mean, Punk has the Anaconda Vice, but Cena's not tapping out to the Anaconda Vice. So I just don't think there's like a top babyface that really has a submission hold finish that he would tap to. So I'm going to say no. Joseph Brooks, buy or sell on whose title win was good, but would have been better. Oh. Talk about a super chat bomb. You heard of a photo bomb? We have a Brie bomb. From Eminem. Thank you, brother. Buy or sell on whose title win was good, but would have been better if won earlier. Goldberg at Unforgiven should have been at SummerSlam. Or the Fiend at Crown Jewel. Should have been at that awful Hell in a Cell in 2019. Goldberg should have won that World Heavyweight Championship in the Elimination Chamber at SummerSlam. That was a huge misfire. They waited the extra month. You had Triple H with his torn groin and his little biker shorts. Felt looked like he can barely move. They did the match, one-on-one the next month, and it just didn't have the same effect. Like he looked like just a monster in that Elimination Chamber. And if he would have won the title that night, like, that would have been perfect. And I think waiting the extra month, that was a misfire. That was a misfire. Power Spying Games wants to wish Eid Mubarak to everyone celebrating. Yes, I will second that. Everybody who is celebrating. I thought... Did it end last night? I thought it ended last night, but I could be off. But yes, happy Eid to anyone celebrating. Number 1, Homo Sapien with a $20 super chat. How do trees access the internet? They log in. Very good. Very good. I hope you're proud of yourself. Number 1, Homo Sapien. Thank you, my friend. Black Wolf Inc. Tonight's Raw gives me hope that the WrestleMania build can be saved. Plus, I gotta say, the card's starting to look stacked based on story mostly. We really don't have a lot of matches officially announced yet. I mean, you think about it. Maybe enough for one night. But there's still a lot of matches that we can see where it's going, but they're not actually announced yet. So that should be changing though very shortly. Emperor Comet. I don't consider myself an attractive guy, but when I go to the bathroom and I get undressed, I turn the shower on. Duff's Vids. What did the corn farmer get arrested for? Stalking.
You suck.
Why does Snoop Dogg always carry an umbrella? God. Faux drizzle. What do you call a blonde that is still in the closet? Last year's hide and seek champion. Okay, so that one as a blonde, I used to be blonder, but as a blonde, that's actually a pretty good one. As if I haven't heard enough dumb blonde jokes in my day, but yes, that's actually a pretty good one. Boy, he's not done yet. I accidentally rubbed ketchup in my eyes. Now I have Heinz sight. See, if you would have just stopped with that last one, but you had to get greedy. You had to get greedy. Thank you, Duffs. Mr. Rod, brutal beatdown from Gunther to Jimmy. This is exactly what this needed. Jay has to win at WrestleMania. I'm here for the... Well, he had to win at WrestleMania the minute the match was announced. He lost 3 times to this guy. What's he going to do? Go in there and lose for a 4th time? Waste everybody's time? Of course he has to win. Chris Ludak with the 12. The Usos and Gunther segment is how you use blood effectively for a great segment and build an angle. Ambrose needs to take notes because his use of it is played out and has no logic ever because he sucks. Well, that's just a very useless cheap shot at a guy who honestly hasn't really used a whole lot of blood recently. I've even commented on how shocked I am that he doesn't bleed nearly as often as he used to. Honey deep fried chicken with flavor. If Jey Uso versus Gunther is getting personal in the ring, this chicken here would have added a stipulation to the match, a first blood match. Well, you know what? A first blood match would spare Gunther having to be pinned. Would they do a first blood match, though? I mean, they'll do blood now, obviously, in certain situations, but would they do a first blood match? I don't know. I don't know if they would do that. Project Libertad, Keith Lee was right. Poor Gunther has to carry this entire feud on his shoulders, and his reward is putting over mid-event Jay Snoozo. Well, it's happening whether you like it or not, so you better get used to it. And new. TJ Stevens, which Hulk Hogan lie is most likely to be true? Which Hogan lie is most likely to be true? None of them. That's why they're lies. I mean, well, do you think the Metallica one is true? Do you think the one where he once traveled 450 days in a year, is that true? The George Foreman grill story, is that true? The one where the movie The Wrestler, Randy the Ram, that role was written for him, even though the director came out and said he had no fucking idea what Hogan was talking about? I mean, we can go on and on here. None that I could think of off the top of my head. And I'll throw one more at you, too. All this bullshit about how, oh, before the Macho Man died, right, I bumped into him at the doctor's office, and who knows, maybe they did bump into each other, but oh, you know, we bumped into each other and we made amends, and you know, we were going to do a barbecue together, but then he died. Like, I don't believe him. And that's what happens when you have somebody who constantly lies and constantly exaggerates and lives in some alternate reality. It casts everything that they say in doubt. So when he tells that Savage story about how not only did they bump into each other at the doctor's office, but they finally made up after all these years, I don't believe him. So no, I can't think of any. Dev to Dust with 37 months of channel membership. Which sports loss hurt you the most? Knicks and Rockets in 1994 or Mets and Cardinals in 2006? 2006. Navy 4181. Do you think the Bret Hart-Owen Hart match should be added to the WWE Hall of Fame, although Owen's wife would probably put the kibosh on it? Yeah, I mean, it'll be added at some point. If they're recognizing the match, it's not like that match hasn't been recognized in other ways, so at some point, I'm sure that match will be recognized, even if there's no formal, like, induction for it. Alex Richmond, love the show, Solo. Do you think that we will ever get Roman versus Gunther? Also, what did Roman ever do to be considered a babyface except beat Solo Sikoa? He's still the same character, no redemption arc. Yeah, he's still the same asshole he was before. I always say that. Like, he's not a babyface. People just... He went away for a while, and so people, when he came back, went nuts for him, and they liked chanting OTC, so they started cheering for him. But he's the same guy he was before, so he's not a babyface. And do I think we'll get Roman and Gunther? I do, at some point. I mean, at some point, most of these guys end up all working together anyway. So I'm sure at some point we'll get that match. Yo-Yo Sup. Honestly, judging by Bianca's reception in this feud, I almost thought Bianca should have turned heel by fast counting Rhea and standing tall to close. Well, unless the plan is to turn her heel, I wouldn't turn her heel just because the European crowds don't like her. Let's wait until they get back to Minneapolis next week and see if the reaction changes. Zachary Black with the 10 says, hello, Solo. I'm unable to watch live. As such, I had a thought about Cena and Cody. Cena is not announced for next week, but what if he does show up and just beats the piss out of Cody in the back? Why does it have to be in the back? He could beat the piss out of him in the ring. I think that would be great. He's not announced, but that doesn't mean he can't show up. I really do hope he shows up at least one more time. And I think Cody laying him out on this show, like I said earlier, I thought he was going to come back and do something to Cody at the end of the show, and he didn't do it. Could I see that happening? Sure. They could save his appearance for a surprise. I would think they would want to announce it because he has such a limited number of them left. And also, you want to announce the John Cena appearances because that's how you sell tickets. But it doesn't mean he can't show up as a surprise. I think that would be great. Honey Deep Fried Chicken says, happy 30-year anniversary to the movie Tommy Boy. Classic movie. Tony Khan really loves that movie. Tony Khan also thinks that Die Hard is a Christmas movie, so he's right about that as well. Tommy Boy is a great movie. Callahan Auto Parts. Callahan Auto Parts. Fat guy in a little coat. Black Sheep is a good movie too. The Mount Vernon kid, Christopher Bennett. Do you think Jay returns the favor, trashes Ludwig Kaiser? No, I don't. I mean, he could, but I don't think we're going to see that. I hadn't thought about it, but no, I'm going to say no. Probably not. Ron, Triple H can't effectively book and build the women's division. Mid-card titles, drop feuds, dead crowds. Not promising for the stacked, quote-unquote, NXT roster. He has not done a great job. I would agree with you on that. It is not his strong suit. And I frankly, I don't understand why. Yo-Yo Sup says, Cody beats Cena, loses to Randy. Randy loses to Cena. As a heel or a babyface? Pisco 95, the end goal should be Cody eventually beating and maybe dethroning Cena to serve as the pass the torch moment, but I do agree Cena should win at WrestleMania and do the rematch later in the year. Yeah, win at WrestleMania, do the rematch at SummerSlam. So like, Cena wins the championship, people ask, oh, well then who's he going to drop it to? It's like, Cody. Cody's still their guy. But it gives Cena number 17, which I think he's going to get before he retires. So give it, I know it's more of a babyface thing, but whatever. Give it to him at WrestleMania and let him have a few months. Him and Randy for the title in St. Louis at Backlash. Him and Punk for the championship, either at Money in the Bank or Summers. Like there's so many different potential matches with him as a heel, with him as the heel champion. Whether it's SummerSlam or some other show, Cody will win the belt back in the end. If Cody loses, he's going to get the belt back. You know, what do you think? He's going to be a one-time champion? We're talking about John Cena winning his 17th. Cody loses, he'll win it back. And that's your pass the torch moment. ADTR, what's going on, ADTR 210? Been watching WrestleMania 24 on the Vault channel. Where do you put WrestleMania 24 on your list of favorite WrestleManias? I was watching part of that yesterday, and I just so happened to enter the live stream as they were showing Big Show and, oh my God, Floyd Mayweather. His name popped out of my head. Floyd Mayweather, which was not my favorite part of the show. You know what? I don't like WrestleMania 24 as much as other people do. I really don't. It's not one of my favorite WrestleManias. The Real CS says, not going to lie, I honestly thought Roman would be the first 3-time Hall of Famer. You thought Roman Reigns would be the first 3-time Hall of Famer over fucking Triple H and people like that? Blue Jay says, Marty Jannetty's last match be... Who would Marty Jannetty's last match be if alive? Shawn or who? I'm not sure I get the question. Marty Jannetty has absolutely no business being in a wrestling ring. Have you seen his ankle? Eminem with the $25 super chat. One Brie mode isn't enough, so how about another? Since WrestleMania 41 will be multi-madness, should every title be a multi-person match? This WrestleMania almost seems like an AEW pay-per-view where Triple H is trying to get every wrestler on the show. Yeah, but that's what they do for WrestleMania. No, every title match should not be a multi-person match. That would be terrible. Nasir Alexander. Bianca should go 10-0 at WrestleMania. That's right. She has a streak going, doesn't she? What is she? 3-0? 4-0? I think Sasha Banks, Mercedes, had like a reverse streak. I think she has like one win out of what, 6 or 7 matches at WrestleMania? Brandon Vasquez, the solo induction. The Cactus Jack match. Hell, throw Evolution in. Along with DX already being in, Triple H can be a 4-time Hall of Famer. Can't let Bret Hart pass him. That's why I laughed at the other super chat. I'm like, you thought Roman would be the first 3-time Hall of Famer? I'm surprised Bret is getting that honor. But yeah, Triple H will get there at some point. He was part of like multiple factions. There's multiple matches of his that'll be inducted. Asuka is 0 for 6. Is that true? Is Asuka 0 for 6 at WrestleMania? That's offensive. Tonga Loa Superfan. Oh, I thought of you earlier. There was an update. I don't know if Tonga Loa Superfan saw it. There was an update. I don't remember if it was PW Insider or Fightful. That Tonga Loa Superfan would love to know that Tonga Loa is expected to be back by June. So he's still got a ways to go, but he is on his way back soon. See, maybe they should document his return. They could do one of those, like, remember those old WWE 24 documentaries? I hope they're filming. But he says, for wrestlers you haven't seen in person yet, where does Tonga Loa rank on your list of wrestlers to see them wrestle in person at least once in your life? Pretty low on the list. Bruce says, was able to see Jacob deGrom pitch live yesterday. Simple Man is a great warm-up song. Simple Man is a great song, period. But that's very cool that you got to see deGrom warming up. Before I came on here live, I saw the Mets were spanking the Marlins 8-1. It's a good day. But it's the Marlins, so I mean, come on. It's not saying much. Bruce, thank you again. Honey deep fried chicken with flavor. 2 jokes for tonight. Part 1 of 2. What did Winnie the Pooh say to his new love interest? Show me the honey. Ugh. I'm afraid to look at the second one. What is Peter Pan's favorite place to eat out? Wendy's. It's terrible. You have sullied people's childhoods with that joke. It's horrible. Do I follow the NHL? No. Pisco95, it bothers me that some big stars don't have a clear plan for WrestleMania or straight up doesn't seem like they'll be in the show. Sammy, Bayley, Nia, Liv, all had a good 2024 and now they just seem lost. Well, Sammy's not going to be on the show. I think he asked for time off, so he's clearly not going to be on the show. And that might be of his own, by his own request. Bayley, it looks like we're setting up for a women's tag team title match with Bayley and Lyra taking on Liv and Raquel. That's what it looks like. And Nia doesn't have a role on the show. Don't know what to tell you. Honey Deep Fried Chicken, thank you again for the super chats. Despite your childhood destroying joke. Pisco95, and also Sheamus. Sucks he will not be winning the Intercontinental title this WrestleMania. Yeah, that one sucks. Sheamus has nothing on this show. Base Beer is AEW better make Christian world champion at least once. Not going to happen. He had his shot with the contract, and if he didn't win the title there, he's not winning the title. TJ Stevens. First wrestling game and favorite wrestling game. First wrestling game was WrestleMania for the NES. Favorite wrestling game is WrestleFest, the arcade game. And Tonga Loa Superfan. A $20 super chat. Tonga Loa is almost a completely different wrestler when you see him wrestle in person than on TV. What he does during commercial breaks is mind-blowing. I won't ruin the surprise. June can't come soon enough. Yeah, it's going to be really funny when Tonga Loa returns and he's wrestling on Fridays, and mysteriously Tonga Loa Superfan suddenly is no longer super chatting on Friday nights. I think I solved the mystery of Tonga Loa Superfan a long time ago. Base Beerus says Cody's theme is perfect for him. It is an anthem now. Cody's song is a great song. I was very happy that he was able to bring it over with him from AEW. It suits him. Like Cena's music suits him. Real American suited Hogan. It became sort of his anthem. There are just certain songs that work well for certain people. You know, and the way that Cody incorporates it into his entrance with the whoa and gets the crowd involved. It's just a great song. Just independent of anything else. Oh, the Tribal Queen. OTS Tribal Queen, I spy you. I spy you. Cody welcomes you to the channel. Thank you for the super chats, guys. Got some great ones in there. And we are currently sitting at 637 likes. So we smashed that goal. Doesn't look like we're going to get a second round, but you got one round of Be the Booker coming your way right now, and we better make it a good one. So let's get to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to Be the Booker.
We got to try to make this a good one. We only get one shot at this. We'll start with the tag teams. Yeah, OTS Tribal Queen, I just realized can't chat with us because there's a 1 week requirement for new subscribers. But give it a week. Give it a week, and then we'll have you. We'll have you in. We will welcome you with open arms. We got the Bushwhackers, though. That is not a good way to start Be the Booker. You don't want to start with the Bushwhackers. I really was hoping we would do better than that. We got the Bushwhackers against the Midnight Express. And look, I mean, they were a great team, but I mean, the fucking Bushwhackers. I mean, come on. Now, if we were talking about the Sheep Herders, that would be different. Bushwhackers, not so much. All right, women's Be the Booker. Yeah, the WrestleMania card is coming together. Triple H is booking the matches that he wants to see or he thinks people want to see. I'm booking my WrestleMania card here. And you know what? This is a fine choice right here because we have the women's world champion, Io Sky. Io Sky is with us. It's going to be hard to fuck this up. This is going to be hard to fuck up. Oh my God. Oh my God. We have Io Sky, the women's world champion, against the Ring of Honor Forever champion, who just made her return to the Turner Networks this week. Athena. What do you think about that match? How would that match go? Io Sky and Athena. That is fantastic. We need some kind of super bell for these situations. You know what we do? We need like a bell on steroids. Brother. All right, here we go. Main event time. It all comes down to this. We gotta book a good one here. Oh my God, it's Alberto Del Dipshit. It is Alberto Del Dipshit. He has spoiled the main event of Be the Booker. Unbelievable. You know, and after that women's match, I was so hopeful. Well, I mean, let's spin anyway, I guess, and just see who. Let's see who he's wrestling. Not that it matters, but well, you know, we have Alberto Del Dipshit, but we have on the other side Terry Funk, and I mean, I cannot in good conscience give a buzzer to Terry Funk. How about this? Why don't we do this? Why don't we pick a stipulation for this match? Let's see what kind of match Terry Funk and Alberto are going to have. How about that? They are going to have a grave consequences match. They're going to have a casket match. But the best kind of casket match, which is grave consequences. That's it. Can't buzz the Funker. Can't buzz the Funker. I do wish we had a better opponent for him, though. That's too bad. Alberto was an MMA fighter, though. Yeah, he got knocked out, dude. The only fight I ever saw him in, like MMA fight, he got knocked out. He was wearing his mask, his lucha mask, too, and he got knocked out. I think it was Crow Cop, right? Mirko Crow Cop, I think. Knocked him out. Alexander, Brother Solo, when is Solo versus Jacob? I want it. I think that's going to be Backlash. Cameron Spencer, 5 years ago, you scared the crap out of a kid when you told him Wyatt would kill Cena. Do you think that kid needs therapy now that Cena has gone heel? I think he needed therapy after I scared him. I still feel bad about that. Although that is one of the all-time great moments here on one of these streams. I don't remember which stream it was. Devin from New Jersey, I may be in the minority, but I think Austin walking out in 2002 was the best thing he could have done for his character. When he came back in 2003, he felt like the old Stone Cold again. I got to be honest with you. I don't think Austin ever felt like the old Stone Cold again after he turned heel. For me, when he turned heel in 2001, that was like the end of that version of Austin. Even when he went babyface again, like he never felt the same. We have Warm Corn. I return. Heel Cena looks like an angry postman. Thank you, Warm Corn. Base Beerus says John Cena. You have a big mouth, John Cena. Swear to God, like when Cena first debuted and I saw his name written for the first time, that's exactly how I pronounced it. So like people make fun of, Santino now. That's like a joke. Like he pronounces it John Cena. When I first read his name, I pronounced it the exact same way. I thought it was John Cena. Until I heard him say it. I'm like, oh, it's Cena. Okay. Honey deep fried chicken. It's the good son scenario. Says, save one, let the other go. Harley Cameron or Chelsea Green. You know, I like them both. But I like them both. I'm going to go Harley Cameron. I'm going to let Chelsea Green go. I think it's the accent. The accent just gets me. I got to go with Harley Cameron. And Base Beer says, Butterbean also KO'd Sean O'Hare in Pride. That I did not know. And number one, Homo Sapien. Do you think that Big Boss Man could have been WWF champion for a short run during the Hogan feud? Win it cheaply and then drop it in the cage match? Sure. It would have been very brief, but I think they could have made a lot of money for a few months there with Boss Man as the heel champion and kind of sent him around the horn to different cities and different towns with Hogan chasing him for the belt. I think they would have made a tremendous amount of money on those matches. EJ Slim, I don't know if you saw Guaranteed Rate Field is no more. Oh, no, I didn't see that. It's now just Rate Field. Somehow that's even worse. Now it's not guaranteed anymore. He says, and the White Sox starting pitching has not allowed a run yet this year. I didn't think that there could be a worse name than Guaranteed Rate Field, but Rate Field is even worse. It's like a statement as opposed to a name. They should just go back to Guaranteed Rate Field. But no, I did not know that. It's the first I'm hearing about that. Save Harley and Matt Cardona will save his wife. Can we let Matt Cardona go and I could save Harley and Chelsea? I'd do that. Which was the one that it was in Arizona, right? The Talking Stick Arena. Warm Corn says Punk's favor is for Paul to 450 splash Roman. Did you see when Paul took that shield powerbomb from the bloodline through the announce desk on SmackDown? I'm surprised he didn't die on that. Paul Heyman hitting a 450? I don't think Paul Heyman could hit a fucking 110, let alone a 450. The White Sox may be moving to Nashville. Is that true? I actually think Nashville would be a good city for a team. Elijah Davis, thank you for the $4.99. He says, buy, rent, and sell. Eye of the Tiger, Hearts on Fire, No Easy Way Out. As a Philly native, it hurts to say this, but I may sell Eye of the Tiger. Oh, man. Which one am I going to sell? I'm going to sell Hearts on Fire. I like all three, but I'm going to sell Hearts on Fire. I'm going to... Ooh, man. No Easy Way Out is such a great gym workout song for me. Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to rent Eye of the Tiger and I'm going to buy No Easy Way Out. Because it's just, it just gets me so pumped up. Ice Cream for More says, I live near Nashville. Would love an MLB team here. I really do. I think that would be a great place for a team. What are my thoughts on the upcoming Ludwig Borga Dark Side of the Ring episode? I haven't seen it yet, so I really have no thoughts on it, other than I'm looking forward to it. I think he's someone who was not a very nice person, but certainly has a very unique story. And so I'm looking forward to the episode. If you missed it, I did my first review for this new season of Dark Side of the Ring on the podcast, which was the it was really a combination of not just Hell in a Cell from 98 with Undertaker and Mankind. It was also kind of like a Mick Foley episode. And so I got the review done for Sound Off's 907. So go check it out on the podcast. It probably will hit the channel tomorrow. But if you missed any of my old reviews, I have a whole Dark Side of the Ring playlist here on the YouTube channel. So if you're ever bored, you're looking to kill some time, you want to listen to some old reviews, you can find them all there in the playlist. But yeah, we have Ludwig Borga this week, and Vader is next week's episode. I'm looking forward to that one as well. Didn't Dark Side used to air on Sundays? Nope. Always been on Tuesdays. The Rays are using our spring training stadium this year. Yeah, because their roof got ripped off. Their roof got shredded. When is House of Glory coming to Nashville? I don't know. Stay tuned. We're coming back to Chicago on May 9th, and we just announced we are coming to Texas for the first time on July 11th. That is the night before AEW All In, which is only 20 minutes away. And we are opening a new HOG Academy in Orlando. And we'll be having events there in the future as well. So, I don't know. Nashville, we'll have to see. Stay tuned. When is the Daphne episode? I don't know. That one hasn't been announced yet as far as the date. But I know this week is Ludwig Borg and next week is Vader. I know that. Waiting for HOG Toronto, huh? Got to get my passport ready. That would be cool. Any Laboom shows? Not at the moment. I thought maybe the show on April 25th was going to be a Laboom show. I know that was talked about, but that is going to be in our normal arena, our normal location. I'm sure we'll run Laboom again in the future when the schedule dictates it. It's a smaller venue. So ideally, we would run at the NYC Arena because we have more room there. But I'm sure we'll be back at Laboom at some point. Base Beerus says, guess what? Chicken butt. Chicken butt, huh? You and Honey Deep Fried Chicken would get along very well. And Ralph wants to know one moment in wrestling history that I can rewrite. I would definitely rewrite what happened to Owen Hart, that's for sure. If I had the power to go back and make something not happen, that would be it. I don't know how I would do it, but I would do everything I can. All right, the next time I am live with you here on this channel will be Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite, the final Dynamite before Dynasty, which is coming up this Sunday. And then live on Friday night for SmackDown post-show. Back in the good old U.S. in Chicago, one of the best wrestling cities on the planet, as is Toronto. Steve just mentioned Toronto. But I'm hoping that those fans in Chicago, they bring their best on Friday. And we'll see what goes down on that show. Have they announced anything major for that show? I don't think they have. Oh, no, they announced the Last Man Standing match. Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. Last Man Standing on Friday. So that should be. I'm about done with that feud, but I mean that's a fine way I think to blow it off. I don't know if they announce Punk will be there. It would be ridiculous not to have Punk on the show if they're in Chicago, even if it's just like a dark segment. But I will be live after the show. Either way, Duff's Vid says, "What do you call a chicken that's afraid of the dark?" A chicken. Yes, of course. How could I not know the answer to that? Thank you, Duffs. So those are the upcoming streams here on this channel. And of course, I'll be live with JD on his channel for Tuesday Night Titans. That will be tomorrow night. We will have a wonderful group of segments now that we can talk about from tonight's show and all the other news of the week. That'll be the first TNT, by the way, of April. Base Beer says, there's a chicken in the kitchen. And Honey Deep Fried says, Swerve needs the belt back. this Sunday. This Sunday, all they have to do is make one very important decision. Hey, look, it's our boy Luis. When will House of Glory come to Los Angeles? Probably eventually. I mean, even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you right now. I would want to save that for a special announcement. I am sure at some point we will make our way out there. Just got to be patient. You just got to be patient. Can you imagine? I'm walking into the building and then I run into Luis. What a meeting that would be. It would have to be captured on film. Anyway, thank you guys. I like the earlier stream. It's 11 o'clock and we're wrapping up. I can get used to this. But see, I can't because we're back to normal. Back to our usual time next week. I'll be first going live right now. Be well. Stay safe. Please hit that like button on your way. I thank you for all the likes, by the way. We are currently nearing 700. So let's try to hit that as we get out of here. And I will see you back here, not for TNT tomorrow. That'll be on the other channel, but back here on Wednesday for the Dynamite post show. So until then, take care, guys.